Yama and Niyama, Nishedha and Vidhi. What is not to be done, what is to be done. For what purpose? The goal of Raja Yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha, gaining mastery over the mind. Yama and Niyama from the foundation. We have to change our behavior. We have to change our habits. Unless we start changing ourselves, we will not be able to grow. We will not be able to raise high to the highest goal. There are some wrong habits that have to be removed. There are some good habits that are good for developing the control and mastery over the mind. We have to develop it. Good habits are niyamas. Bad habits are essentially yama. Therefore, they are vidhi and nishedha. Then, Patanjali says, use the body to gain mastery over the mind. Why? How is it possible? There is an innate connection between mind and body through what we call the prana. So, if you control the mind, the body comes under control. Similarly, when you control, the mind comes under our control. That is asanas. Last time we saw the essence of asanas, that it should be to use the body to gain mastery. The whole essence of asana is to stretch and relax. Relaxation, relaxation, relaxation is the key essence of asana. Therefore, when you are going to teach asanas, you will see that the person is relaxed. All the muscles should beautifully get relaxed. As a result, there is going to be a lower metabolic rate. As a result, all our organs and systems will start functioning in a very harmonious way. How to do that? Shatter the tamas by the dynamic asana system. We call it here as Shithilikarana Vyayama, featured by speed, jerk and repetitions. Then the second is the relaxation postures, which we call here the asanas. Stretch, relax, maintain longer and longer duration, and tune your mind to infinite expanse, we saw. That completely controls and channelizes our rajas. So what is to be done? So transform our personality by the cultural postures and relax the body by relaxation postures and grow to greater heights by meditative postures. We can do it either standing, sitting, prone or supine. In all this, there are the three dimensions. The process of progress in asanas we saw sthira, chira, sukha. Make the system stable, sthira. Make the system stay in long duration, steadiness, chira. Chira means long duration, must maintain. Then sukha, start enjoying the bliss associated with that. How to do that? Mind. Mind is associated with bliss. Mind should be tuned to infinite, ananta samapatti. It should be very clear, the difference between exercises and Shithilikarana Vyayama. Exercises and dynamic postures. In dynamic postures also there is speed, jerk, repetition. Exercise also there is speed, jerk and energy expenditure. What is the difference between the two? We saw that Shithilikarana Vyayama takes us deeper. Exercises essentially at the muscular, cardiovascular and respiratory systems. Whereas in Shithilikarana Vyayama it takes you deeper. Cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, endocrine and nervous system, mainly the nervous system. Asanas work more at the nervous system level. It brings balance of the autonomic nervous system. It promotes homeostasis. Autonomic arousal is induced. You get a good balance. And in asanas you go still deeper. From the nervous system you go to the brain. and go to the mind also. This also should be very clear to us. What are the difference between yogic practices and normal sports and normal exercises? Normal exercises and sports, you can develop your ego in the sense that you become very egoistic, you can become very arrogant, that you are on the top of the team, so you get a big prize, therefore you become very egoistic, it's possible. Whereas the real implication of yoga is to diffuse the ego. Move from selfishness to selflessness. The constriction or the focusing of the ego should be diffused and you have to expand. You have to expand your personality. Therefore, there is gaining of mastery over the mind, emotions, intellect in yoga, and that should lead us to the greater heights of egolessness. That's the key essence. The ideal body, you saw. How should it be? Krishna's body was an example. Soft like a flower when we are not doing action, we are not involved in action. And when if you have a stiff body, you are unnecessarily spending your energy. Some people maintain a high metabolic rate. Therefore they have to continuously feed. The life of many of the wrestlers become very miserable in the end. Because during their youthful years and developing phase, they eat a lot and keep their muscles very big, tight, all that. But when they grow old, they cannot digest and the desires have not come down, and as a result, they become more and more miserable. Therefore, what is the yogic concept of an ideal body? When you are resting, the body should be very, very relaxed, soft like a flower. Kusumadavi mruduni. It should be even softer than the petal of a flower. But when there is a need, you want to take part in a running race, your body should become extremely capable, hard, strong, stiff, whatever is needed. Vajradavi kathorana. It should become harder than a diamond. That's what Krishna demonstrated in a beautiful wrestle against Chanura. Then we come to the fourth thing, pranayama, yama, niyama, foundations, asana, using the body to gain mastery over the mind. Then Patanjali says, Krishna says, start using the prana to gain control over the mind. Prana shown up as breathing. This is the fourth thing, pranayama. Prana, ayama. Pranasya ayamaha, pranayamaha. That's how the word had to be split. Ayama means to elongate, to gain mastery. Gain the mastery over prana, and that is called pranayama. How do we do that? By controlling the breathing. Breathing and prana have innate connection. So when you control the breathing, you have the control over the prana. And if you control prana, what happens? Mind and prana are two wings. When you control prana, you get control over mind. When you control mind, you get control over prana. This can link them. But the goal is chitta vritti nirodha, mastery over the mind. How does Krishna bring about this point in Bhagavad Gita in this beautiful verse? Apane jukvati pranam, prane panam tatha pare, prana panagati ruddha, pranayama parayana. Pranayama parayana. Those people who are practicing pranayama, what do they do? Prana pana gati ruddhva. Prana and apana, inhalation and exhalation. The speed, gati means speed. Ruddhva, control. So the people who practice pranayama should control the breathing, control the inhalation, control the exhalation. There are two schools. One who essentially work on the inhalation. Another group, in which they essentially work on the exhalation. So the first group, apane pranam juhvati. What do they mean? In the exhalation, they put the inhalation as a oblation. That's what it means. What does that mean? Essentially, inhalation should be controlled. Slow down the inhalation. Exhalation is kept same. But inhalation becomes slower and slower because some people find it very easy to slow down the inhalation. But some other people find it easy to control and slow down the exhalation. For them, the second is there. Prane apanam juhvati. In the prana, in the inhalation, they bring in the apana as oblation. That means the apana, the exhalation, is slowed down. This is what it says. Let's understand that the pranayama is defined like this. Control the prana, and thereby you have the control over the mind. Prana and mind are like two wings or two faces of the same coin. Control the prana, you control over the mind. Control the mind, you get control over the prana. They are interlinked. Therefore, pranayama is a very powerful process to gain control and mastery over the mind. More powerful than asanas. And how does Patanjali say about it? How does it define pranayama? Shwasa prachwasayoho gati vichhedaha pranayamaha. He puts the sutra. In the sutra he says, prana apanayoho. Shwasa prachwasayoho. There prana and apana are the terms used in Bhagavad Gita. Here it is called shwasa and prachwasa. Shwasa is inhalation, prachwasa is exhalation. So what is to be done between inhalation and exhalation? Gati vichhedaha. Gati is speed. Vichhedaha. Vichhedaha is to cut. Chid. From the dhatu chid it comes. Vichhedaha is chid. So I am going to cut the speed of inhalation and exhalation. That's what it is. That is pranayama. So how to gain control and mastery over the breathing? Hatha Yoga gives us the technique of kriyas. They say first you have to cleanse the respiratory system before you go to pranayama. No? You must do kriyas. Because cleansing is necessary if you want to gain faster progress and quicker achievement in pranayama. Then second is you have to normalize the breathing, called sectional breathing, vibhagiya shvasan. Then come to the pranayama. No? Cleansing. Cleansing is the first step. How do you cleanse your respiratory system? What is to be cleansed? Carbon dioxide is the dirt that you have to bring out. Throw it out of the system. Oxygen is the one that you have to put it in. When you burn fuel, you get smoke. Smoke is carbon dioxide. You have to remove the smoke. In all industry, the waste essentially is carbon dioxide in it. Similarly, here we have continuous production of carbon dioxide, which has to be removed. So then, you have to cleanse the system by removing carbon dioxide and bringing more oxygen. That is the process of cleansing. How do we do that? The Hatha Yoga, Hatha Ratnavali, Swapmarama says that you do fast breathing. When you do fast breathing, then it cleanses the system. Now, for example, in pipe, the water is flowing, there is a clogging, imagine. So periodically, you must clean the pipe. Otherwise, the flow of water will become very less. So what we do? We, with a very high pressure water, you put that, so all the dirt will be taken away from that. And also you do it from the other side also. In the reverse way, you put high pressure water, now all the clogging will be completely gone. In the same way here, we have the respiratory tract going all the way down to the throat, the trachea, then it divides into two portions and then enters into the lungs. Two lungs, the two sides. So that is our entire respiratory tract. That entire tract has to be cleansed. Therefore, you do fast breathing. So that will cleanse the respiratory system. For that, we have one of the kriyas called Kapalabhati. Most of you are familiar with the very famous Kapalabhati, thanks to Swami Ramdev. He has made it so popular. Kapalabhati is the process by which you can cleanse the system. And what is that Kapalabhati? What is the meaning of that Kapalabhati? Kapalam bhati iti Kapalabhati. Kapala means skull. Bhati means to shine. To shine the skull. That means to stimulate the brain cells. To stimulate the upper portions. Therefore in Kapalabhati you are going to stimulate all the cells in the brain. As a result your memory will go up. And since you have the fast breathing, there is going to be cleansing. The speciality of Kapalabhati is you have fast exhalation followed by automatic inhalation. You have to inhale and then burst out. Like that. No? Therefore, you have to inhale fully, automatically, and with all your force, you should breathe out. When you do that, pull the stomach inside. So, pushing the stomach inside. That is the whole process. So, it is abdominal breathing. So, in exhalation, there should be full exhalation, and abdomen should be sucked in. Therefore, all the air is going to come out. And do it speed. What should be the speed? The speed of normal breathing is 18 breaths per minute. 15 to 18 breaths per minute is our normal speed. In Kapalabhati, you are going to increase it. 30 per minute, 40 per minute, 50 per minute, 60 per minute, 80 per minute, 100 per minute, 108 per minute. Tune with the rhythm. 120 per minute. That is the optimum. Therefore, you have to do with higher speed. But important thing is, when you do that, you must see the whole air comes out of it. It is not only superficial. If you try to speed up the Kapalabhati in the beginning, without proper thing, then it will become very superficial. Then only neck will flow. So what is to be done? You should see that the entire air comes out of it. For that you need practice. Therefore start off with 25 per minute, gradually increase up to 2 days to 35 per minute, then 50 per minute, 60 per minute. Then within about a week or 10 days you should be able to reach the speed of 120 per minute. How much is the speed? Look at this. This is the approximate speed. That will make up 120 per minute. How long you have to practice? Normal prescription is 1 minute. You practice for 1 minute with a full exhalation, bursts of exhalation followed by automatic inhalation. 1 minute. Then if you want to cleanse more, if you want to remove your thamas more and more, then you do more. You can do it for 2 minutes, you might can do 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. No? But after each 1 minute, you stop for a while. Otherwise, there is a possibility that you will increase your blood pressure. Therefore, you go on doing that. Depending on your need, depending on how much of tamas you want to remove, you can do it for longer duration. And there are varieties of Kapalabhati that has been talked about in Hatha Yoga. What I showed is both nostrils you are using to do the Kapalabhati. You can do it with only one nostril. Only left nostril Kapalabhati. It's called Vama Nasika Kapalabhati. To cleanse only the left nostril. Sometimes the left nostril is blocked. You can start using the Vama Nasika Kapalabhati. Similarly, you can do on the Dakshina Nasika Kapalabhati. Same speed should have. and do it only with the right nostril. The right nostril gets cleansed. Then you can do alternate nostril Kapalabhati. Alternate, left, right. So these are the 4 types of Kapalabhati that we could use depending on our need, how much you want to cleanse. Most effective probably is alternate nostril Kapalabhati, in which both the nostrils are cleansed and effectively cleansed by doing this process. Then having cleansed the system, then we are ready, and then it is said that now you normalize your breath. What do you mean by normalizing the breathing? Your speed should become normal. The normal speed is 15 to 18 breaths per minute. When you are breathing, you just check up your breathing. How many times you are breathing? So greater the tension you have, greater the speed of the mind, greater will be the speed of breathing. We did a simple experiment, a simple research. We took 1000 cases of asthma and measured what was their breathing rate. The breathing rate was something like 23.4 per minute. 1000 cases of anxiety, 1000 cases of hypertension, 25.8 average. 1000 cases of anxiety neurosis, breathing rate was 29.9. What does that show? Greater the anxiety, faster is the breathing. That is the connection between mind and the breathing. So what is to be done? If your breathing rate is 24 per minute, bring it down to 15 to 18. If your breathing rate is 20 per minute, bring it down to 15. If already your breathing rate is 15 to 18, it's normal. How to bring it down? The thing is what is called as Vibhagiya Shvasan. So we do sectional breathing. It does the second thing. One is decreasing the speed. The breathing is haphazard. It should be made rhythmic. What is meant by haphazard? What is meant by rhythmicity? First time you breathe, and second time you breathe, you take different timings. Third time it will be different. Fourth will be different. Fifth will be different. Sometimes you breathe fast, bring it down. Haphazard. That should be made rhythmic. Each time your cycle should be same. Inhalation, exhalation, should be same. That's called the rhythmicity. Then the jerk should not be there. It should be made continuous. Slowly breathe in and slowly breathe out. Again slowly breathe in. There should be continuity. It should be continuous. And it should be full yogic breathing. It should not be only superficial, only upper lobe should not be. These are the things that we achieve by Vibhagiya Shvasana. It's called sectional breathing. Abdominal breathing, thoracic breathing, clavicular breathing, upper clavicular breathing, full yogic breathing. If you look at the lungs, on the right side we have 3 lobes of the lungs. The lower lobe, middle lobe and the upper lobe. So we have to see that all the lobes come into operation. For that what we use? We use abdominal breathing. When you inhale, abdomen should be brought forward. Exhale, take the abdomen inwards, suck the abdomen inwards, fully breathe out. Then what happens? The air will continuously flow through all the lobes. And then your lungs will fully utilized. Because of the wrong habits, invariably we use only the upper lobe. You have a wrong breathing habit. When you breathe in, you suck the stomach. Breathe out. Wrong habit. It should be reversed. When you breathe in, abdomen should be moved forward. When you breathe out, abdomen should go inside. This is the correct breathing. So that wrong habits have to be first corrected. So you should check up what is happening to your abdomen. Whether when you inhale, abdomen is coming forward or going inwards. You have to see. Then you have to expand the vital capacity of the lungs. It's called thoracic breathing. Inhale, expand the chest. Exhale, contract the chest. It's called thoracic breathing. Then the upper clavicles, upper lobe, upper sac of the lung also should be made more active. Therefore, what you do, inhale, you expand the chest, and take the shoulders up and take it back. Breathe in some more. It's called clavicular breathing, upper lobar breathing. By this process, you are able to fill the lungs fully, utilize the full capacity of the lungs. Therefore, many problems of the lungs will start vanishing. Asthma is one such. And finally, how should we breathe? All the three lobes should be working. As you inhale, first abdomen will shoot moving forward and the chest will expand and slightly the clavicle, the air will go into the upper lobe. This is called full yogic breathing. We also use special mudras for that. Chin mudra, Chinmaya mudra, Adi mudra, Brahma mudra. Chin mudra for abdominal breathing, Udara Shvasa. Chinmaya mudra for the thoracic breathing, and the Adi mudra for the clavicular breathing, Griva Shvasa. Put it on the abdomen, it's called full yogic breathing. This is called Brahma mudra. 4 mudras are used along with that. Having prepared all these things, now we go to the pranayama proper. Just like we had 2 schools in asana, in pranayama also we have 2 schools. The school of Hatha Yoga invariably has Kumbhaka. Understand what is pranayama? Pranayama is to slow down the breath. How to slow down the breath? There are 2 ways. Inhale, hold the breath. Exhale, hold the breath. This is one way of slowing down the breath. Another way of slowing down the breath is inhale slowly. Slowly inhale and slowly exhale. These are the 2 schools. The first school is called the Hatha Yoga school. Second is called the Vasishtha school. Both are good. But the objective is slowing down of the breath. Understand the difference between pranayama and kriya. Kapalabhati is not a pranayama. Kapalabhati is for cleansing. You have to increase the speed of breathing. 30, 40, 50, 100, 120. Here pranayama, bring it down from 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 3, 2, 1. 1 per minute. Still, then what happens? 1 breath in 2 minutes. Then 1 breath in 3 minutes. 1 breath in 5 minutes. Oh, decreasing, decreasing. This becomes pranayama. Very, very effective. See the difference? Similarly, in the Yogasana school, you increase the number of asanas. In half an hour, you are doing 10 asanas. Make it 20 asanas, 40 asanas, 100 asanas. Then you are very good in dynamic asana. Whereas in the other school, you slow down. You are doing 10 asanas for half an hour, reduce it to 5 asanas. Make it 3 asanas. Make it 2 asanas. Make it 1 asana. Slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. Follow the thing? Same thing pranayama also. No? Number of breaths should come down at the key essence. So in the Kumbhaka school, there is an effort involved. No? So there is the thing. And as a result, it could happen that it may lead to some problems. The Hatha Yoga school. Whereas the second school is completely without any problem. That's what we use. Safe to the core. Because when you don't do proper bandhas and start holding the breath, you will invariably end up with many problems. What problems? You may become mad. You may become lunatic. There are people who start practicing pranayama and they start becoming lunatic, neurotics, psychotics. Or you may end up with stomach problems, gastritis, obesity. Or you may end up with diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome, colitis. All can be caused by pranayama. Everything else is fine. You are very healthy, very strong, very good. And when you start doing the pranayama, but you may end up with this. Why? You are not doing the Kumbhaka pranayama properly. What is wrong? You are not using the bandhas. Jalandhara bandha, Udyana bandha, Mula bandha has to be perfected before you start doing the Kumbhaka. If you don't do this bandhas and start doing Kumbhaka pranayama, you end with problems. That's why people used to say, you must have a guru, you must have a proper teacher who understand the whole dimension of pranayama. Otherwise, pranayama one side is very good, excellent, great, very powerful. At the same time, if you don't do it properly, you end up with problems. But in the second school, there is no problem like that. Vasishtha school. Slowly breathe in, slowly breathe out. You can do it anywhere you like. Sitting, standing, walking, drinking, eating. Everywhere you can do that. Excreting, you entirely have time, you can slow down. Pranayama can be done anytime. Before food, after food, anytime you can do. That is the beauty of the second school of Vasishtha. The whole emphasis is slowing up the breath. And slowly inhale, slowly exhale. This is how we start doing. So let us contemplate on these thoughts. Sit straight. Relax all parts of the body. Beautiful smile on the face. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. We use this pranayama called Sarala Pranayama, Sulabha Pranayama, easy pranayama. It can be done any time. Inhale slowly. Feel the whole body is getting energized and light with oxygen entering in. Exhale slowly. All parts of the body, let them relax. Inhale slowly. Fill the whole system with full of prana. The body becomes highly energized and light, as if you are floating. Exhale slowly. Allow all parts of the body to relax. Each and every group of the muscle relaxes. Inhale slowly. Full of energy, vitality. Beautiful smile on the face. Enjoy the prana. Exhale slowly. The whole body relaxes from toes to head. Beautiful relaxation. Inhale slowly. The whole body getting energized and light, and all the good qualities start coming up. They get stimulated. Daivi Sampat coming up. Exhale slowly. All carbon dioxide coming out. Whole body getting relaxed. All the vices getting removed from our system. Asuri Sampat going out. Inhale. Full of virtues. Full of energy and prana. Exhale. All vices one by one vanishing from our system. Inhale. Whole body getting energized and light and full of positive virtues. Magnanimity, love, giving, and all Daivi Sampat. Exhale. All negativities, violent emotions gone, going away from our system. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Everything going away, going away. Inhale. Whole body is getting energized and light. Endowed itself with full of positive virtues, and expand your mind to have the fullest of the knowledge, removing all the avidya. Exhale. All avidyas are going away. All negative things are going away, and full of relaxation. Inhale slowly, full of energy, virtues and knowledge, happiness and bliss. Tune your mind to that all pervasive infinite expanse. Exhale. All avidya going away. nourishing all prana, beautifully getting disclosed, all parts of the body getting relaxed. One more round of Sulabha Pranayam. Inhale, whole body getting energized and light. All the positive virtues are filling us with Daivi Sampat and the fullest of the Vidya, the knowledge of the totality and the happiness and the bliss supreme coming up. Exhale. All wrong knowledge, avidya, coming out of the system. All negative emotions going away from our midst. And the whole body is wonderfully relaxing. This is the simplest way of doing the pranayama, going deeper and deeper to gain mastery over the mind. Let's contemplate on this and now imbibe that wonderful, blissful inner capacity to spread that fragrance of love and bliss, peace and harmony everywhere. Full of energy, vitality, peace, harmony, love, bliss, all inside is coming out with a shine, spreading that fragrance. Come to Namaskar Mudra. Om